welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are watching episodes 124 and 125 of Bleach. You guys have hyped up these coming episodes a little bit for me, so I'm super excited. I'm also just excited from what we went through in the last episode leading into 124. So let's debrief a little bit, shall we? So we had Ichigo picking a fight with Visored, which, I understand from like a, hey, I want to learn how to control this hollow thing inside of me because he really doesn't like that he doesn't have any control. But like on the other side of things, I'm like, should we go off on our own without telling anyone where we're going and pick a fight with an organization that is full of powerful people that also have the same hollow ability-ness that you do? Is that the smart thing? Is that what we're doing now? So I was a little bit concerned with Ichigo going off on his own. Rukia, also worried about him going off on his own. Picked a fight with Visored. The hollow came out when he was fighting Hiyori and freaked everybody out a little bit. They all had to kind of pin him down until he went back to normal. Shinji broke his mask, so he went back to like normal Ichigo. And then they agreed that they were going to help him train, help him figure out how to suppress this hollow that he wants to suppress so badly. And it looks like, from the way that they were talking about Ichigo and some of the stuff that has been going on, both like with Aizen but also just with like Ichigo and his friends, that Visored has been watching Ichigo for a while, which makes me a little bit nervous. Like, I knew that there was some stuff going on with like Aizen and the Soul Society like being part of Ichigo's life, like in the first couple of episodes, but even like before we even started the show, like the timeline before that, there was probably some stuff going on with Aizen like getting involved with Ichigo's life. I wasn't expecting Visored to also be part of that, to also be kind of involved in Ichigo's life pre the show existing, or like even pre like them showing up in the show. So it looks like them showing interest in Ichigo isn't like a new thing, isn't like a direct reaction to all the stuff that's been going on with Aizen and the Arrancar becoming more powerful and there being more of them. So I assume that like there's some kind of history to the Visored being interested in Ichigo, being interested in his friends. You know, they seem to know what's been going on with the Soul Society, and more importantly, I remember Shinji like said something about being like knowing about Aizen and all of his stuff for a while, which would be weird because the Soul Society hasn't known about Aizen for a while, so they seem to know more about what's going on with Aizen and his plans and stuff than the Soul Society does, which is a little bit suspicious. Makes me a little bit worried about what exactly their connection to Aizen is. I still don't know where they're kind of gonna fall in this whole like Aizen versus Soul Society conflict that is just like slowly building up as this series goes on. So lock that information away and try to pick up on exactly what that is all about. So we had them agreeing to train Ichigo, which was going a little bit slow for him. In his opinion, Ichigo didn't think he was being trained properly. And so they decided that they were going to have him fully transform into a hollow. So we know from when he was training with Urahara that he didn't actually fully turn in to a hollow. He only partly did, which is why he only has like part of a mask appearing whenever he transforms. So they're going to push him to become a full hollow and hopefully bring him back. I mean, I feel like because Ichigo never fully transformed into a hollow, the like hollow within him is like unfinished, and because of that it makes it really unpredictable and hard for him to control. So maybe turning full hollow and then hopefully turning back, will mean that Ichigo will like sort of be able to stabilize the whole situation a little bit, but I'm not super sure how this is gonna turn out. They seem powerful, they've got like an eye on him while he's going full hollow, but there's all this stuff going on in his like inner world. We went back to his weird topsy-turvy skyscraper inner world and saw White Ichigo again, and not Zangetsu, because originally White Ichigo was part of Zangetsu, but because White Ichigo's become so strong, they've like switched. So Zangetsu is part of him now, which makes sense for when I was talking about how the hollow within Ichigo seems to be more like erratic and like more, seems like less contained, like less controlled. And if before Zangetsu was kind of funneling that power, was kind of like helping Ichigo control the hollow, then it would make sense that now that they've switched, so Zangetsu isn't like in charge anymore, that the hollow would have control over itself, and because of that it's become more erratic and harder for Ichigo to control and suppress. So we ended with Ichigo versus White Ichigo, which I'm excited for from a like it's gonna be a cool fight perspective, but nervous about from a I care about Ichigo and I don't want anything bad to happen to him side of things. Excited for the fight though, excited to see what happens. I think maybe Ichigo will have some kind of like hollow form, because we know that like the visored kind of transform a little bit. They have like their own masks and stuff. We saw with Hiyori when she like put her mask on, there was a little bit of a transformation thing happening. So I think maybe we'll get to see some kind of different outfit form to Ichigo if he goes full hollow. Not super sure, but excited to find out. Excited and nervous, I believe, is what. Excited and apprehensive. I feel like that's what we're mostly going to focus on for this episode. We also had Sado going to Urahara and asking to be trained, so I'm sure that that will be something that we learn about some more. I will be excited to kind of see how Sado's, I mean, I'll be excited to see Sado in general, but I'll be excited to see how his powers kind of evolve and develop into whatever ends up happening with him. I don't really understand how his powers work. We didn't focus on them a whole lot. So, nice to see that. Ishida out there training, doing some stuff. I hope he's okay. Hope we check in with him some more, but probably not, at least in the next episode. But you guys have hyped this up. I'm excited. We're gonna see an Ichigo versus Ichigo fight. So let's get into episode 124. In 3, 2, 1, go. I still love Gon singing at the beginning of this. It's so cute. We also had some weird stuff happening with Ururu. She went, I still want to know what that weird trance thing was that she went into. And then Jinta was like trying to comfort her, make her feel better. Because I feel like that's just gonna get worse with like Arinka continuing to come and having like spirit pressure and stuff. I'm just excited. I want to see the fight between Ichigo and White Ichigo. Okay, wait, I'm just gonna get Totoro. now. Because there's no way that Ichigo doesn't get hurt during this fight. And, it just... I need the support. Ooh. Yeah, that happened. We're gonna see that Bankai too. Ooh, I'm excited to see like a white version of Ichigo's Bankai. Cause they're always inverted, right? Ooh. Don't like the creepy noises that come from Hollow Ichigo. We're probably gonna see her fight a little bit too. Ooh. A hole in his chest. Ah! Probably the same time you did. I was like, you're the same person, Ichigo. Well, not the same person, but like you're intertwined. So. Ooh. Byakuya? Is it all like an illusion? Like part of his inner world? I think Hollow Ichigo's messing with your head. I do like seeing Byakuya's Bankai though. Ooh. Oh, I thought it knocked him off there for a second. Oh. I mean, he hasn't really trained with it. Not the same as mastering it. It's one thing to like be able to release your Bankai. It's another one to be able to like truly understand it and utilize it, right? Did we just voluntarily drop off a cliff? Ichigo, is there a landing plan? Do we know what we're doing? Ooh. Aha. See? Illusions. Mind games. You are, though. He's just got a general desperation about him that I think is making Ichigo careless. Ooh, up close. Dang. Ooh. Whoa. Oh, his mask is starting to form more. Ooh. We're gonna get to see them all fight? As they like take turns fighting him? Whoa, Ichigo's feet though. And the like stuff on his chest coming from the hole in his chest. Ugh. I feel like also Ichigo is full of all this doubt about fighting, whereas like White Ichigo is definitely like has no reserves about fighting. Like he just goes for it and isn't worried about consequences. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Did I miss something? Aw. He's working so hard to put up all these barriers. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, he has regeneration. Instant regeneration. Whoa. What is that? Ooh. Okay, so there's a time limit. Who is this? Well, okay, I know his name is Karya, but what's the connection? Is he from the the arc I skipped? I'm assuming since I'm not getting any kind of explanation, I'm supposed to know who he is, that he's from the arc that I skipped. Ooh, that's true. He doesn't have his blade because it got shattered. And he relies on his Sanpokto a lot to fight. Come on, Ichigo, you're scrappy. You got this. Ooh. Ooh, I remember this. I wonder if the hallucinations are coming from Sengetsu or from the Hollow. Or from Ichigo himself. Also possible. True. Hey! I mean, you didn't hit him, but progress. You gotta control the situation. Maybe the hallucinations are just a distraction. So that the Hollow can take over. Ooh. It seems a little bit cynical even for me. Ooh. Okay, yeah. The bounce arc. Ooh. Yeah. Ichigo, if you want to use your Zanpakuto, you're gonna have to come to some kind of agreement with the Hollow. I know you don't want to, but you gotta. So we're gonna see who's the king and who's the horse? That's what I was saying before. I'm like, why Ichigo, like, doesn't have anything holding him back when he fights people, whereas Ichigo does. Yeah. Ichigo. It's all in your head, Ichigo. Fight back. Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Changed his color. Ooh, his eyes are changing. I know what that means. No way. No. They're just starting to get good. Oh. I really hope that Ichigo, like, kicks some butt and gets some of his, his confidence back. Just popping. I just want a preview. I mean, I'm gonna watch the next episode, like, right after this, but still. Oh, I'm excited that, like, Ichigo does, like, have, like, a hollow form. It's such an interesting design. Ooh, are we gonna get some Zedeki? Okay, so I don't even know exactly what to, like, debrief from that. I feel like I am interested in the illusions. So bringing these past adversaries, these people who Ichigo has fought in the past. I'm assuming that's what the white-haired guy was. I think there was a clip of Ichigo and him fighting, which I assume is from like the Bounce arc, which I skipped over, so I don't know exactly what the story is with him. But I do know Byakuya, and I'm assuming that these are imposed by someone. I don't know if it's the Hollow, or if it's Sengetsu, or if it's Ichigo himself. Like, I don't know. There are too many people trying to control Ichigo's mind at this point that I don't know who's calling the shots with this. But I assume that the reasoning for them is either one, if it's the Hollow making his hallucinations, I assume that they're like a distraction for Ichigo, because if he's fighting against these old adversaries, he's not fighting against the Hollow. Or two, it's either Ichigo or Zangetsu, and it's like has a better intention behind it, in that like it's to remind Ichigo of like fights that he has been in, and like people who have had like conviction behind the way that they fight, and they've had like resolve when fighting and stuff. And there was in the preview there was a little clip of Zedeki, Kenpachi Zedeki, who we know that he definitely has resolve when he fights. Like, Zedeki does not hesitate, does not pull any punches. Like, he is all in when he fights, and he enjoys it, which is not what Ichigo is, right? Like, Ichigo doesn't enjoy fighting, and there was I love the conversation between Ichigo and White Ichigo of like White Ichigo talking about like how like Ichigo doesn't enjoy fighting. He doesn't want to fight. Like, he doesn't seek out confrontation. Fighting is just like a thing that is like a byproduct of him wanting to protect and help people, as opposed to like White Ichigo and Zedeki, who like legitimately enjoy fighting. Same with Grimjo. Grimjo likes fighting. He wants to pick a fight with someone who's strong and who's gonna give him, you know, a little bit of a hard time in the fight, because if it's not a challenge, then it's not as fun, right? So, you know, seeing those kinds of people in Ichigo's life is a nice contrast to him, whereas, you know, Ichigo very much would, I think, prefer not to fight. I think if he could not fight people, he wouldn't. Does that make sense? We saw a little bit of that with like Sado. Sado doesn't want to fight people. He'd prefer not to fight people. He enjoyed it when he was younger because he had a lot of anger to get out, but he didn't actually want to fight people. Same with Shinsui, the one captain that we saw. He's not much of a fighter either. He'd prefer not to fight people. So we've seen more like passive people in Ichigo's life as well. There's Orihime. Orihime doesn't want to fight people. So it's an interesting dynamic to like see all these people, like, you know, some people who kind of fall on the like the two different ends of the spectrum, and then like lots of characters that fall in between who like enjoy certain kinds of fights but not others, and kind of, you know, are somewhere on the spectrum. I think of like Ikagu. Like, Ikagu enjoys certain kinds of fights, but he also, like, there are people that he won't fight, and there are fights that like he doesn't want to get involved with from like a like honor standpoint of things. So like, you know, there's lots of difference in the spectrum of who falls on what end, and I feel like Ichigo, you know, definitely doesn't have the same drive as a lot of these other people to fight. And then if we take the example of Byakuya, I won't talk about the other guy because I haven't seen his episodes. I don't really know what motivates him entirely. But Byakuya, at least, like, I wouldn't say he necessarily enjoys fights, but he has a resolve to the people that he chooses to fight. Like, him fighting Ichigo was from this place of very deeply believing in him being a catalyst for justice, for doing the right thing, right? That was the whole fight behind it. He was like, well, this is the law. Like, the law has said that Rukia should be executed, and Ichigo keeps getting in the way, so I have to stop Ichigo in order for the law to be carried out. And so having that resolve going into the fight meant that Byakuya, you know, only hesitated when he started to doubt himself a little bit near the end about like what exactly the law was. But up to that point, I mean, when we saw Byakuya fight Arenji, he didn't hesitate with Arenji, and Arenji was his lieutenant. Like, they knew each other, they had fought together. I wouldn't say that they were friends necessarily, but like, they had known each other for a long time. They had worked together, fought next to each other. I'm sure had some kind of trust between them if you have to fight next to someone. And he was like, nope, you're enemy now. Like, I'm on the side of the law and you aren't. So, you know, Byakuya didn't hesitate at all during that fight. And I was having a discussion about this too in the comments about Tosen. Tosen is the same kind of thing. He has a very strong resolve with his beliefs. He fights because he believes in what he is fighting for. And so I feel like Ichigo most of the time has that resolve in that, like, he wants to protect people, he wants to help people, and that's why he fights. But now he has this all mixed up in his head of like, well, even when I fight, people get hurt. So am I really protecting them if I fight? And because of that doubt, he's hesitating. He's not going in with the same resolve, with the same like clear motivation for why he's getting involved in the fight. And because of that, he, even going up against some of the people that he's like won against in the past or held his own against in the past, he can't now because he doesn't have that focus on the fight. And I love that comparison of like the difference between a king and his horse. Like, one of them has power and the other one is just like carrying the other one around. Like, one is actual power and one is just a tool for that power. And that being a very good analogy of like what exactly is happening here. Like, if it is Ichigo gonna be the king, and then White Ichigo is gonna be like his catalyst, his weapon, like, you know, because the Hollow's power goes through his Zanpakuto, so is he going to use the Hollow to, you know, direct his power? Or is the Hollow gonna be king and Ichigo's just gonna be the body that it uses to get around, right? Like, who is going to end up with power and who's just gonna be along for the ride? Like, who's just gonna be there to get from one place to another? So I loved that analogy that White Ichigo brought up of that being the dynamic between them. But we did get a little moment at the end of, you know, Ichigo claiming back his Zanpakuto, claiming back his Bankai and his power, symbolically claiming back his power, and hopefully we're gonna turn the tides a little bit in this next episode, and Ichigo's really going to, you know, find his instinct to fight, right? And maybe get to see a hollow Ichigo. Like, we're seeing part of him as he slowly transforms into this hollow, and I'm excited and apprehensive about that because I want to see what hollow Ichigo looks like, but I also don't want him to turn into a hollow. When my aesthetics fight against my heart. But let's just get into episode 125 and see how this is gonna turn out. In 3, 2, 1, go. I feel like this is gonna be a little intense. And no one knows what's going on, because Ichigo didn't tell him that he was going to Vizard. I feel like I don't have anything interesting to say because I've already talked too much. Okay. Just prepared. Yes. I know. It's not really his other self though. They're one soul, really. Kadia. Someone to watch out for when I go back and watch filler stuff. Look at that smirk though. Ooh. Are they broken buildings? Zedeki? Interesting animation choice there. To have like a first person feel to it. Ooh. His turn to fight? Ooh. It has a tail too? Whoa. Come on, Ichigo, focus. I mean, a reason other than he's trying to kill you. He seems very disturbed by that. Fair, he does want power, I think, to protect people, though. Ugh. Ooh. The drums are coming in. Eyes are turning blue. Looks a little scared. Oh dear. Ooh. Good moving camera move, like camera shot there. Ooh, is he starting to fight back the hollow? The form is breaking. Why does Ichigo look a little sad? Because he stabbed someone? Ooh. Mm. So the battle continues. Cool mask, though. Well, he lived. That's good. We're conscious. That's good too. He's gotta feel better after, like, fighting with the Hollow, though, and winning. It's good. Determination and stubbornness. You got this, Ichigo. He was dealing with some stuff. I'm sure he'll show up casually. Oh, so we got some more first-person camera movement. Interesting. That's okay, Orihime. Yeah, she's wondering what's going on with Ichigo. So Tatsuki is, like, a little bit worried about him too. Is it Toshira? Toshira and Matsumoto? Oh, wow, that's new. I was gonna say, is it to communicate with Soul Society? Ooh. Have we? Yes, tell me what the goal is. I would like to know. Oh? What is it related to? The what now? And what does it open? Oh? I didn't know there was a king. Sure. Okay. So it's how you can get to the king. Does he want to become the king? He wants to be his own king. 100,000 souls? Excuse me? Is it where Ichigo lives? Go out on a limb? And that's why there's so many people with spear pressure? Oh dear. Ugh, look at that confident smile. Okay, 4 months. So, slow process right now for making Arenka. Okay. I agree. You guys are not prepared. In general. Look at that determined look. You got this, Orihime. Oh, is there a piece of information only he should know? Oh, she looks so sad. Aw, Arenji and Sato training together? Oh, I love that. My boys. Oh, and Urahara watching over him. Ishida! It's good to know that your dad hasn't succeeded in killing you at this point. Things are, whew, heating up. Wow. I knew that Aizen wanted something very, like, grandiose, but this is a little bit, it's a little bit more than I was expecting. It makes sense, though, like, if there's, like, a specific, like, enriched spirit zone, I think is what they translated it as. It would make sense if it's, like, in that spot of, like, Ichigo's hometown, because so many people with, like, spirit pressure are there, and, like, they keep popping up, like we saw with just, like, people who are in Ichigo's class, like, taking on more, I don't know, strengthened spirit pressure and stuff. And there was always, like, a lot of hollow activity, which, like, I think partly was because, like, Ichigo is there and there was, like, other people who had a lot of spirit pressure that was attracting them. But if it's, like, the area itself is attracting them, then that makes sense too. Does Visor know this plan then? So that was a little bit intense. I feel like this is like the highest stakes we've gotten in Bleach so far, which makes sense because we wouldn't want it to be like the same feeling. Like we wouldn't want to have the same kind of level of danger. It has to progress, right? And I feel like sometimes shonen especially can be a little bit ridiculous about that in terms of escalating the danger and stuff. I mean, look, I love Dragon Ball, but it does a crazy job when it comes to like escalating powers and danger and stuff. It's madness. But I feel like this has a lot of justification behind this, and I was talking about this in the comments when we had the captains and lieutenants, the Soul Reapers that were fighting with the Arenka, and they got the like I can't remember the exact term that they used, but the like cap that they put on their power so that they don't have full access to all of their spirit pressure when they come to the living world. They got that taken off, and it was kind of like a quick power up when they were fighting the Arenkar, but like in reality, it wasn't like a quick power up because it was something that had been introduced before. Like, it was something that had been talked about previously, because Renji was like, when he was fighting Ichigo the second time, he was like, well, the first time you fought me was in the living world, and I didn't have full access to my power then, because, you know, someone who has a bunch of spirit pressure wandering into the living world could have a bunch of negative ramifications. So, you know, you haven't actually fought me at my full power yet until they fought in the Soul Society. So the fact that they brought that back, so it had like the feeling of like a quick power up thing, but it wasn't really, because it was like a mechanic that had been introduced previously. So I feel like this is a similar thing where it's like an escalation in the danger, but it's all based on stuff that had been like set up to this point. Like saying, okay, there's like this enriched spirit zone, that's a new concept to be introducing, but it makes sense given what the audience already knows about like Ichigo's hometown, because like we know that there's a bunch of people there who have spirit pressure. We know that it's like people are starting to get stronger, and like their spirit pressure is increasing as they like interact with each other and spend more time in this like close proximity. We've seen that a few times. We know that there's more hollow activity in that area, whether that's because there are people with spirit pressure which attracts them, or if it's just like the place in general. Like there's a lot of interest between like hollows and soul reapers and people who have spirit pressure in that area specifically, and like you could write it off as like, oh well, like that's where the story takes place, like that's where the main character takes place, so like of course there's a bunch of stuff happening there. But the fact that like they're introducing this thing of like, okay, well there's actually like pockets of like there being more spirit pressure, and that's like a thing that just happens and it moves around, and it's just part of like how spirit pressure like works. It fits with what they've already been setting up, so it doesn't feel like a cheap plot mechanic to be like, oh well of course this Ichigo's hometown is the focus of Aizen's plans. Like it feels very organic to do that, and I appreciate that multiple times with Bleach there've been opportunities where there could have been lazy writing, and instead there isn't, and instead there's like thought and time put into making sure that even when new stuff is introduced, it's done so in a way that like it works within what the audience already understands of the world. I appreciate that. So we've known for a little bit that Aizen has been after something specific. I've been saying for a while that like it probably isn't a simple thing. Like I feel like he has these very grand plans, and I remember I compared it more with like Gin, because I was like, Gin doesn't seem like he has like grandiose plans. Like I don't feel like Gin wants like ultimate cosmic power. I feel like Gin is very concerned with like what immediately affects him, but Aizen has like ambition, and I feel like he has like this idea that he is like, he has like a right to that power, to that control, to like being of a higher status that can like control and moderate people. Like I feel like he truly believes that he is like worthy of that, like that in general things would be improved if he were to be in that spot. That there's a soul king. Didn't know that there was a royal family. Makes sense though, because we knew that there was like higher up families like within the Soul Society, within like where this like spirit world exists. Like we knew that was a thing, so it makes sense that there would be some kind of like monarchy or like, you know, family at the top, you know, royal family. So we have kind of this figurehead soul king that no one really sees, but he's there, he's in control of stuff, he's kind of tucked away because he's very important. And then, you know, we have this key that was used to create the Soul King, and instead of Aizen just like taking the place of this Soul King, he's like, I'm just gonna be my own king. Which is, seems like a very Aizen thing. Because, you know, the whole throne, the angelic light that he put over himself, the giant platform that the throne is on. I mean, there's a bit of a god complex there, right? Like, of course Aizen's like, I don't want to replace someone. I want to do my own thing. I want to have my own power. I want to have my own domain. So he's gonna try and make one of these keys, and it's gonna take 100,000 lives to do that. Which is a lot. You know, up to this point, a lot of the danger has been like, okay, the lives of like Ichigo and his friends and like people who are immediately involved in the conflict, or like a group of bystanders when like a hollow attacks that like might get hurt. Like, it's been kind of like controlled carnage. It's been, you know, casualties have been like of a smaller scale up to this point, like people who are directly involved, whereas like now it's just gonna be like a whole area that's gonna be wiped out. So we've got a time limit with this like winter that they're going to probably fight. They have to wait for the device. I don't remember the spelling of it, so I can't remember the pronunciation, but the device that Urahara made that now Aizen has, he took from Rukia. They have to wait for that to like awaken properly so he can use it. So I guess at the moment he's like kind of slowly putting together Arankai like the old-fashioned way, whatever that really entails. But like once he has this device, he'll really be able to like speed up that process and be able to control them better and stuff like that. So we've got that time limit. We got to prepare, get some skills worked out. It looks like we are going to touch base with all of our characters and kind of see where they're at with their training. You know, Sado, Renji, we got some Ishida in the preview, you know, kind of see where everyone's at with the training. Ichigo did the hollow thing. His hollow form is cool. I'm gonna admit it. It's a cool form. I don't want him to turn to a hollow, obviously, but it's cool. I might have to draw it. Maybe I will. But did that, won the fight for now. Looks like, I feel like the hollow is gonna be something that Ichigo has to deal with for a while. Like, I feel like it's not just gonna stop. I feel like it's gonna be like a continuous fight for him, but I hope that he got a little bit of his confidence back now that he's like defeated it once. Like, they fought and he won, and it's his body and it's his mind, and you know, he's in control. And maybe we're gonna get some cool stuff with him training with Vizard and see what exactly that entails, and what kind of abilities he's gonna have now that he has like access to the hollow power without like becoming the hollow necessarily. And hopefully like he fears it a little bit less, like he's willing to kind of take some of that power without fearing like the hollow taking over. So he'll like be able to, just like being able to like dig into that power reserve, I feel will do a lot of really cool things for his abilities. There's so much going on now, and I feel like maybe there'll be like a brief like calm before the storm, you know, as we go into the next episode or two of like people training, people working on their own stuff, people preparing. I also kind of feel like, you know, them being like, okay, here's our time limit, here's like how much time we think we have to prepare. I feel like it's wrong. I feel like it's gonna happen sooner than they predict, because Aizen's a smart guy and he's been working on this for a while. So if the Soul Society knows how like long it's gonna take for this device to awaken to be able to be used, then Aizen probably does too. And if Aizen, especially since he was like reading all the documents, right? So if Aizen knows that, then he probably has been like calculated that in to his plans. And I feel like he's gonna try and do something unpredictable to like throw them off. Like, why wouldn't he take advantage of being in control of the timeline, right? So I feel like something's gonna happen. Something that is they're unprepared for. Something that they're not seeing. I mean, there has to be something, right? He's got something up his sleeve, something that the Soul Society doesn't know anything about, something that he's been preparing for a while. There's gotta be. I hope you guys enjoyed watching those episodes along with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!